Study praise. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurumritam Yana Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Desatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktabunda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, hopefully you can all hear me without having to put the headset. Is it voice is clear?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, perfect. I, about 1 month ago or something, I took one class in this group. That time, one of you were assigned to read and explain. I don't know today anybody was assigned to read and explain already or not yet.
No, Prabhuji.
No? Okay, sure. Yeah. Any of you read the few verses from second chapter, 14th verse?
Yes, Prabhuji. I read the 14th and 15th also.
Very nice, very nice. Good job. Thank you. So let us get started. We'll read together. Hare Krishna Yugandhar Prabhu Sushma Mataji, thank you for joining. So let us go through. I can see my screen, okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, sure. Okay, let me read the verse and you can repeat if you can, all of you. Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya
Matra
Matra
sparshastu
Sparshastu
kaunteya
Kaunteya
Sitoshna Sukadukada
Sitoshna
Sitoshna
Sukadukkada
Sukadukaya
Agamapayino Nityas
Agamapayino
Agamapayano Nityas
Nityas
Samstitikshav Swabharata.
Tam
Tam
Stitikshasva
Titikshasva
Bharata
Bharata
Okay, we'll do a couple of more times. Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya
Matra
Matra
sparshastu
Sparshastu
kaunteya
Kaunteya
Sitoshna Sukadukada
Sitoshna
Sitoshna
Sukadukkada
Sukadukada
Agamapayino Nityas
Agamapayino
Agamapayano
Nityas
Nityas
Samstitikshasva Bharata.
Tam
Tam
Stitikshasva
Titikshasva
Bharata
Bharata
Matra Sparsastu Kaunteya
Matra
Matra
sparshastu
Sparshastu
kaunteya
Kaunteya
Sitoshna Sukadukada
Sitoshna
Sitoshna Sukadukkada
Sukadukkada
Agamapayino Nityas
Agamapayino
Agamapayano Nityas
Nityas
Samstitikshasva Bharata.
Tam
Tam
Stitikshasva
Titikshasva
Bharata.
Bharata.
Okay, one of you can read the synonyms and translation.
Mantras. Can I start, Prabhuji?
Yeah, sure.
Mantra Sparsa, sensory perception. 2. Only. Kaunteya, O son of Kunti. Sita, winter. Ushna, summer. Sukha, happiness. Dukkha and pain. The giving. Agama, appearing. Apayana, disappearing. Anitya, non-permanent. Tan, all of them. Titikshava, just try to tolerate. Bharata, O descendant of the Bharata dynasty.
Yeah, you can read the translation also.
Translation, yes, Prabhuji. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress, and their disappearance in due course, are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O scion of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed.
Thank you, Satyabro. Yugandhar, would you like to read the purport?
Sure. In the proper discharge of duty, one has to learn to tolerate non-permanent appearances and disappearances of happiness and distress. According to Vedic injunction, one has to take his bath early in the morning, even during the month of Magha, that is January to February. It's very cold at that time, but in spite of that, a man who abides by the religious principles does not hesitate to take his bath. Similarly, A woman does not hesitate to cook in the kitchen in the months of May and June, the hottest part of summer season. One has to execute his duty in spite of climatic inconveniences. Similarly, to fight is the religious principle of the Kshatriyas. And although one has to fight with some friend or relative, one should not deviate from his prescribed duty. One has to follow the prescribed rules and regulations of religious principles in order to rise up to the platform of knowledge. Because by knowledge and devotion, only one can liberate himself from the clutches of Maya. The two names of the two different names of address given to Arjuna are also significant. To address him as Kaunteya signifies his blood relations from his mother's side, and to address him as Bharata signifies his greatness from his father's side. From both sides, he is supposed to have a great heritage. A great heritage brings responsibility in the matter of proper discharge of duties. Therefore, he cannot avoid fighting.
Very nice. Thank you so much. So, what we'll do is I'll briefly give the context. You might have remembered, but briefly share the context because this is very important in scriptures. More than the particular words we are reading, particular verse we are reading, the context, where it's coming, why Krishna is saying that, why Arjuna is speaking that, what else he has said in the before, what else he's going to say later on, are all important to understand. Because when we have the context of why he's saying what was said before, what is said here after, which let us say I'm reading Bhagavadgita now, I may not know what is coming after. But the gurus and sadhus, yeah, but the gurus and sadhus, they know what is coming afterwards also. That's why they can give the essence how to see the verse particularly properly also. That's why it's important to see the context of whatever we're reading. Yeah. Number one. Number two, so with that in mind, let us go through the context. Context overall is in the first chapter Bhagavata, Arjuna gave several reasons why he thinks he should not fight. But then the last reason in the second chapter beginning, he said, I'm not able to decide. So uh, I want to hear from you. That's where this is going. So then, let me go to that particular verse, 2.14. Just before 2.14, couple of verses before, when Arjuna surrenders, Krishna starts with chastising Arjuna, saying that this is unfitting for a learned man. You talk like learned man, but this is not fit for a learned man like that, he says. So, okay, we're in a 10th verse, right? We're in 14th today. I'm going a couple of verses back. So basically, Arjuna said, I'm confused. I cannot fight anymore. I don't know what to do. You tell me what to do, like that. Then 10th verse, Krishna, smiling, uh, said then, while speaking learned words, you're mourning for what is not worthy of grief. So those who are wise don't lament for what is happening at the body level. And then he gave quick knowledge, quick important principle is shared, which is neither there was a never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future all of us will not cease to be. That means we're eternal always. We're there before, right now we are here, and afterwards also will exist. Even after death also will still exist as spirit soul. That is principally given 12th verse. So that is a key thing. That will expand on coming verses. Now 13th verse, to, to elaborate on that, is saying, in this body, we're a soul. 10 years ago I was a small boy, 20 years ago I was a small boy, 10 years ago I was a youth, and now I'm an old man. So like that, same person, I'm the same person that is going through in the body. That's what he given Deignos verse, 13th verse. Now, after describing the eternal nature of the soul, now overall this section, what Krishna is doing is addressing all the reasons Arjuna gave. 4 reasons and one indecision reason he gave. So he's addressing one by one. First reason being compassion. Arjuna is feeling, oh my God, I need to fight with family and relatives. Not only our side guys will get killed, not only other side guys will get killed, our side guys also will get killed naturally in a battle. So he's feeling compassion for them. Why should we fight for this thing to kill so many people like that? He was feeling. So that compassion, Krishna is addressing. How is he addressing compassion? Interesting, not telling that, okay, if they die, it doesn't matter, it's okay, but you are going to live, you're going to be happy. That also is going to talk one way later on. But Krishna elevates the conversation to an identity level. That means, who are we? I'm not this body, you are not this body, you are a spirit soul. Because in a previous session we discussed how when I know who I am, then I will act according to that. For example, when I was explaining in the last class, I think, that when I join a company, they say I'm an architect. Then they'll give me a job description. So then I'll function like an architect. But if they don't tell me anything, then I might think, okay, I might think focus on testing, how to do testing nicely. That may be my focus. I'll go deep dive into that. Or I might go into one particular development. How do you make this code very efficient? So I might go into that. But their understanding is, as an architect, I look at the bigger picture and not lose sight of the bigger picture. Even though I'm going inside deep on a particular focus, particular angle of the project, but still I should never lose my bigger picture. Why are we doing this project? What is the value this is going to get? Will this affect any of the requirements that customer is giving? All that I need to have in focus, not just making this code run faster. Because I may spend 1 month making that code run faster, but I may not deliver the actual thing that customer wants. Sometimes customer requirements is not the fastest. Customer requirements is I need to get it out of the door by November 1st. And it needs to do at least these things. Sometimes that is more important. And it should be secure. So as an architect, we need to think about what is most important to customer. Because for some customers, performance is most important. Some customers, security is most important. Some customers, cost is most important. So we need to balance all these things. So the example I'm trying to give is, when I understand what is my identity, then I act accordingly, productively and purposefully, and reach my goals. Even in mundane things we can see. Similarly, when we understand that we are a spirit soul, not this body, then with that understanding of the identity, we act accordingly. So that is clear. So
Yes, Prabhu.
that is one point. That is why Krishna is talking about soul first. Number one. Number two, I don't know where I told. Not this audience, I think. Another thing is habits development. These are the reason I'm taking this time is, why do we need to know about soul? Why do you care? Like that I'm giving a little bit. So now, uh, habit experts like James Clear has a book called Atomic Habits. It's a very, very popular book that talks about how to develop habits. So one of the principles he shares is, let us say I want to develop a habit. My habit I want to develop is, I want to chant every day morning, for example. That is a habit I want to develop. So the way I need to write my goal for that habit is, I want to chant every day one round at 6 a.m. in the morning, because I want to progress in my spiritual life. I want to be a nice devotee, steadily progressing in my spiritual life. So if you notice, first element is what I want to do, chant every day one round. Second element is when I need to do, 6 a.m. That's important element, he says. And then third element is, if I do that, what will happen? What will be my situation? What will be identity? In other words, might be I'll be a steadily progressing devotee. Not that if I chant at 6 a.m., I want to chant every day at 6 a.m. so that I can regularly chant. I can frame my goal like that also. But more than that, he says powerful is, what will my identity, how will my identity be after doing that habit? So I'll be a devotee who is steadily progressing. I'll be a devotee who has developed taste in chanting. Like that he talks about. Same thing, for example, somebody has a weight loss goal. I want to every day morning eat only fruits as a breakfast at 6 a.m. in the morning. So that way, I'll be very healthy. I'll be a very healthy man. Like that. That's the identity I'm taking. So like that, identity has a great value in our everyday life also. And identity has great value in making proper decisions to go towards our desired identity and desired goals like that. So with that background, now we go into this 14th verse. 14th verse, if you notice, Prabhupada has always wonderful purports. So if you notice, Prabhupada is starting, I will start here. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhupada is explaining why is Krishna calling Arjuna as Kaunteya? Why is Krishna calling Arjuna as Bharata? Bharata, like that is described. So if you notice here, Kaunteya is here, word is here, and then Bharata is here. Basically, Krishna is saying, actually, this is one way of motivational technique also. When we have to motivate somebody, then one of the ways to motivate is that they already needs to know. For example, I tell somebody, you're very good at, for example, let us take a game, cricket. You're very good at putting right spin ball, like that somebody will say. Then they take pride in that. And they will improve on that more and more and more and more like that. Similarly, somebody may say they're flattering. This is not flattering. There's a difference. Sometimes you can pinch somebody's false ego saying that, oh, you think you're a great spinner? Not really. That is bad. That doesn't motivate somebody. That demotivates somebody. Then another way we can do is we can flatter. Wow, you are exactly bowling like the India's best bowler in the world like that. You can flatter like that. That also doesn't help because they know I'm not so better like that. But you tell them your skill, you are good at this skill. If you improve it, it will go even greater like that. Then that is just patting on the back, not flattering, not pinching their false ego. That's patting the false ego. That's an important motivation technique. So actually, Krishna is saying in this verse that you are actually belonging to a great dynasty of Bharata, great dynasty of Kaunteya,
Kunti.
Kunti. So that means because of that, they're all devotees who are in spiritual conceptions. They're great devotees. So don't think in terms of body, think in terms of like spirit, in terms of devotion, like your great grandfathers, like your mother, everybody is doing like that. Your great heritage from both sides, mother's side and father's side also. So considering that, you should be like that. So like that is motivating Arjuna. For example, this is also helpful for us also for many places. You probably heard in olden days, kings used to have bards. Bards means they praise the king. One of the way, every time king is getting up in the morning, they'll praise him. King is going somewhere, they'll praise him. Oh, Maharaja, Maharaja, you are doing this, you are doing this, like that. So one of the element they use is they tell how your ancestors are so great. Why? Don't mess up their name. They've done already great things for in this world. Now you do something nonsense, you're messing up their name also. Like that, they're getting motivated. Oh, I'll think, oh, my father is Bharata, whose name is there in the whole world. So I should be exemplary in my actions like that. That's the positive motivation. So like that, Krishna is nicely describing here. From spiritual side, he's saying, don't go into bodily conception. Because previous verses are talking about soul. That's why we're bringing that element. So think in terms of spirit soul, not just think about only about body level like that. That is the first aspect Krishna is talking this verse. Now going further, Prabhupada is talking about, okay, Prabhupada is talking about the central theme of this verse is tolerance. Tolerant, tolerate the the non-permanent appearance and disappearance of happiness and distress. That is the central theme. Generally, the first sentence of a purport or any paragraph is very valuable. Similarly, last sentence usually. So he's describing when we are doing your duty, when we are doing our duty, we have to learn to tolerate the temporary difficulties. That is the essential meaning of this verse. So that means the duty is most important. So when we get some difficulties, we have to tolerate them. What kind of difficulties are being referred here? Matra sparsha. So sensory perception. That means when the senses are coming in contact with sense objects, like nose is coming with some smell, eyes are coming out with form, ears are coming with some sound. So we're exposed to sunlight, too much hot, or too much cold when we go out, like this. That is all experiencing through senses. So the principle to learn here is we all have some goal in the life, and we're all striving towards that goal steadily. To strive to that goal, we are doing some duties to get to that goal. It can be a material goal, it can be a spiritual goal. The point is, when we are striving towards a goal, some distractions will come. So instead of getting bogged down with that distraction, keep proceeding further, like that. For example, let us say we are going to an important meeting at the office, and I started on time, so I'll reach like 5 minutes before the meeting because we need to go on time before the critical meeting. But suddenly I noticed that I wanted to get my best favorite pen. After going, my office is half an hour away. After going 20 minutes, I remembered that I I forgot to get my best favorite pen from home. Now, is my favorite pen, I love it. But more important is currently my duty is to be on time at the office. So if I go back 20 minutes out, I'm going to be late at the office. So I make sure I prioritize my goal, I prioritize my duty, and focus on that, forgetting about the pen. Similarly, I'm going to an important meeting. Suddenly, rain started coming. So then I continue my going to my office because that is my duty to go to the office today, even though rain is coming. What I'll do, I'll get an umbrella or a raincoat or a jacket, whatever we have, and then we make plans and go. So that is what is being described here, that when some disturbances, temporary disturbances come, then we continue on our duty to reach our goals. Now, this is a material level I talked about. Spiritual level, even more important. Our overall purpose of our life is to develop love for Krishna, develop develop love, be situated in pure devotional service to Krishna, so that we can be eternally happy, not happy for 5 minutes, one day, 1 week, 1 month, not like that. Eternally I want to be happy. So I don't want to cut any corners to go to that goal. So when I'm going to that spiritual goal, then naturally I need to do my sadhana every day, chanting, hearing, I'm doing every day. So, but every day something will come up because suddenly I'll remember at 11 o'clock in the night time, oh, I forgot to write this email to my friend. I forgot to talk to this friend. I didn't talk to him for 6 months. Let me talk to him. Suddenly I remember at 11 o'clock in the night. Not in the morning, not in the afternoon, not in the evening. So then we need to evaluate. I want to get up in the morning to chant. So is it really important that I call my friend at 11 o'clock in the morning, evening? Instead, let me make a reminder and let me schedule my calendar time for next Saturday at so and so time. And then I'll send a note to him saying that I wish to talk to you on Saturday around this time. Will that work for you? Please let me know. And then I sleep. That way, I'm proceeding to my goal. So, similarly, uh, basically these distractions here, Krishna is talking about two kinds of distractions. One is at the body level, heat, summer, and winter seasons, like that. So, too much hot, too much cold, like that is there. And that is affecting my body. And another thing is about mind, that happiness and distress Krishna talking about. That's affecting my mind. I'm happy today, so I'll do it. I'm not happy today, I don't do it. Like that. So the other way to say it is, I'm feeling like doing it, I will do it. I don't feel like doing it, I don't do it. Like there are also people talk about. So irrespective of these temporary disturbances, whether it's related to body, related to mind, or related to false ego also. Later on, another Bhagavadgita verse comes that describes how temporary dualities come in terms of false ego, which is somebody will praise, oh Prabhu, you're wonderful, like that. And somebody will say, oh Prabhu, you're useless. So those are affecting my false ego. Oh, really? I'm wonderful. Oh, really? I'm useless. Why is he saying I'm useless like that? So that's affecting the false ego. So something is affecting body, mind, or false ego. Understand these are all temporary. And in the coming up verse, I think in the coming up verse, let me see here. Yeah, in one of the verses, he talks about how this is a beginning and end. I think coming up verse, another verse. But basically, point is that these have these are all temporary. They'll come and go. So because of that, I don't compromise on my permanent goal. That is the point being shared. Just like example I mentioned, some temporary distraction comes in our goal to go to office, how we are tolerating that and proceeding further. Similarly, on our spiritual goal also, we should tolerate things that come up and do our best in our sadhana and seva, service also like that. So that's the way, for example, does that mean there's no scope for any changes? Not really. There is a scope. For example, let us say I'm getting severe back pain. I need to go to the hospital. And because of that, today I may not be able to chant in the morning. Every day I have chant in the morning, but today I'm not able to chant. But health comes to top priority. So I'll make time for health, but I will plan this chanting because I'm not able to do in the morning. I need to plan a window of time in my calendar for doing my chanting. So we are prioritizing health because that is most important today. But then I'll plan my calendar time for chanting also. So that is how we adjust the circumstances in our life. This is also called, some devotees call this as balancing act. For example, one week we might have to struggle to produce a deliverable at office. During that time, I may not be able to come back home at 5 p.m. in the evening. Normally, most of the year I work 9 to 5. Devotees maintain a fixed work time most of the time. But then suddenly some project deliverable came for this particular week. Then I cannot do 9 to 5. I have to do 9 to 7. But even that time, I will plan in such a way that I can do my chanting somewhere or the other like that. I can plan my eating properly. I can plan my sadhana properly like that. So that is another act of balance we need to maintain if you focus on spiritual goals. So that is another. Basically, these temporary things will pop up, distractions will pop up. Because of that, we don't leave the permanent goal. And then there's another thing that there's a book called Seven Habits of Highly Successful People. Most of you might know that talks about sharpening the saw. The example is given that one time there are two people who were cutting trees from morning to evening with a hacksaw. So when they're doing that, um, one guy takes a break and then he sharpens the saw. Takes 15 minutes break and he sharpens the saw, and it takes 15 minutes break to eat food properly, and then he continues doing the work. Whereas guy number two, he thinks, I don't want to take any break because I want to get the maximum money. So he doesn't sharpen the saw. He continues doing it throughout the day. And then he doesn't eat food also. He doesn't have much energy now by end of the evening. So at the end of the day, this guy cut down 20 trees. The guy who took the break cut down 20 trees. The guy who didn't cut only 10 trees. Is getting less money ultimately. So his goal is nice, but to reach the goal, he compromised on the foundational principles of not having energy. If you don't take break to eat, no energy, right? then you'll not be healthy also. Long term also you'll missing on the money. Not only one day, is missing long term also on money. And similarly, because the saw is not sharpened, it became dull. After some time, it becomes rough, dull. So now it takes a long time to cut one tree. Whereas if you took a 15 minutes break, even though it's a 15 minutes break, it will cut faster next. That he didn't realize. The second guy could not realize it. Similarly, for us also, we need to prioritize our health. And first, our health. That means eating and whatever exercise we need to do. Of course, for example, when we need to balance for a deliverable at work or balance for something we need to do for children, for example, like that, then we can, instead of doing a half an hour exercise, we can do 15-minute exercise or 5 minutes exercise at least, stretching at least. But something we need to do. Similarly, when normally we take a half an hour break for eating, we should take 10 minutes break for eating, like that. So health is a top priority. Then comes sadhana. Then next third, that means third one comes service. Service includes studying for college students, doing work for employees like us, or service includes taking care of the family. Service includes doing service in the temple, all those things. Then comes the okay, I told health, sadhana, family, and then service comes last. So that's how we need to do. That doesn't mean now somebody may say, I'm saying health is the top priority, but this week is the goal is the deliverable is there for work. So that means I should prioritize health and still not do work? No. You can increase the work this week, but not at the expense of higher priorities, health and sadhana and family, not at the expense of them like that. That's so we need to plan our day and week and months like that. Then we'll be good. For example, this week I'm focusing more on my office deliverable. So next week I'll focus more on hearing and chanting. That means because I'm doing more at hearing and chanting next week, don't make spirituality zero this week. I do the minimum whatever is needed regularly. So that's another principle we can learn. So that's what Krishna is telling. Don't get distracted with dualities that are happening and stay fixed on the purpose by tolerating them. Sometimes people think tolerance means, oh my God, I need to tolerate it. That may be one meaning people understand tolerance means. That means we don't like it, but we tolerate it. But here the meaning of tolerance Krishna is giving is tolerate the urges to get distracted, tolerate the dualities that are happening at the material level to maintain the focus on the permanent things, focus on the spiritual things, focus on the spiritual elevation, and focus on the duty. That's what Krishna is describing. In this chapter is also considered a conclusion of the entire Bhagavad-Gita. So there is a first section, Krishna talks about if you do work properly, you can enjoy. Sakama karma. Like that he talks about. Next section he talks about you do your duty with detachment like that. Next section he talks about like that. So like that, Krishna goes with several levels in this chapter. So right now he's just saying, do your duty, and Prabhupada also writes in the purport. When we do our duty properly, then we'll elevate in knowledge. When we elevate in knowledge and devotion, then we go to liberation. Prabhupada writes in the purport, I think. Let me see, is this purport or next purport? Yeah, here only. Yeah. One has to follow prescribed rules and regulations of religious principles in order to raise up to the platform of knowledge. Prescribed rules of regulation principles means like duties that we are assigned to. And then we'll go to rise of knowledge, and with knowledge and devotion, then we can get liberated. Like that is describing, Prabhupada is describing. So here two examples Prabhupada gives in the purport. One is a mother or a wife doesn't say, I don't want to cook today because it's too hot. If I go to the stove, a lot of heat will come. Our father doesn't say, I don't want to go to office today because it's so cold. Or in this example, it gives is, I don't want to take bath early in the morning because it's too cold like that. Luckily, fortunately, we have running hot water, most of us. So we can still take bath early morning with the hot water. Yeah, but like that. So basically, point is, when we are doing our duty, don't get distracted because of some inconvenience. For example, if too much rain is happening outside, I cannot control rain myself. So I don't feel bad. I should not be, oh my God, it's raining today. Oh my God, it's raining today. Oh my God, it's raining today. Oh my God, what will happen? My mind will only get depressed state. Instead, do what is practical we can do. Take an umbrella or take a jacket and go. Or if there's an opportunity to reschedule something, we can reschedule. But don't miss out on a duty like that. That's what Krishna is describing here. So basically, we need to keep our focus on spirituality while so many distractions and disturbances come and dualities come in our life. That is the main principle we can learn from this verse. So any comments, questions on this verse before I go to the next verse?
Yes, Prabhuji, I just noticed something in this verse.
Yes,
At the ending of the 14th verse, Prabhuji,
yeah.
uh, where, where in the purport, where Prabhupada is telling a great heritage brings responsibility. So this reminded me of like growing up. There's this famous dialogue from Spider-Man, Prabhuji, with great power comes great responsibility. So
Yeah.
I mean, that was a great inspiring dialogue for me from childhood itself. But here, Prabhupada just from the implied meaning of the names, he was able to like extract that. So I think here this highlights why we need like guru's guidance, because if you read the translation, it doesn't explain why those words are being used,
Ah,
and here just the implied meaning only has so much depth in that, Prabhuji. So we
correct.
can just the usage of those two words, we can speak like 1 hour, why those words were used and what it means for us to learn from that. So yeah, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
So that is like very beautiful how Srila Prabhupada took the meaning from that, and he's able to like share that meaning with all of us through that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, very nice, Prabhu. Correct. Yeah, Prabhupada and our acharyas are wonderful like that. So they're giving us knowledge in a proper way, practically for us to follow. I also like the dialogue from Spider-Man, by the way. I also saw the movie. I loved that one.
Yes,
With power
Prabhuji.
comes responsibility, right? Yeah.
Responsibility. Yeah.
So I also love
So
it.
the same thing. He's referring to heritage and then responsibility. So with heritage, is gaining both power and position, and
Yeah,
because of that, Arjuna has a responsibility to fulfill. So
correct.
it's
Yeah,
very
great.
beautifully put there. Yeah.
Exactly. Good, very good, Satvik. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, Parampavani Shyamati, welcome. Thank you for making the time. I know you're very busy, but still you made time for Bhagavata. Wonderful.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes, what? Thank you so much, Prabhuji. All mercy, Prabhuji. Satya Prabhuji, as like just mentioned that the quote with power comes responsibilities. Like I was studying the issue. Like today, I was doing Bhakti Shastri, and when like in the end of the November, I have an exam. So I was just studying for it too. So there also it mentions in one purport, I forgot, that the human birth, like since God gave us the human birth, like with this possession, we have some responsibility to understand the purpose of life, and to get out of the cycle of birth and death. Otherwise, eating, mating, sleeping, and defending is the general thing for all the creatures, right? All the living entities. Like there is Prabhupada given one analogy, like in the office, there are two types of colleagues, or two types of, or many types of people we see. Like some are like, for example, watchmen at the door, and they are given like small salary, and like they are not given the AC uh, like office or kind of thing. They're standing in the door, but inside we see the managerial positions. They are in the AC room with a big cushioned chair and all those things. So they are given all the facilities because they are given all the responsibilities. Similarly, we human beings are given the responsibilities to know who is the supreme personality of Godhead, and develop the love for him, and break the cycle of birth and death. And this human birth is the kind of a big responsibility and great chance and great responsibilities. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for sharing that. Yes. Yeah, because we have the higher intelligence that can allow us to inquire about the higher subject matter like spirituality. That's why that responsibility, that higher power is there for us. That's why we have the responsibility to make use of this human life properly. Yeah, and a nice example from Prabhupada that you shared from Ishabhan. Thank you for sharing, Mataji. Any other comments or questions before we go to the next verse? Okay, so we'll go to the next verse. Let me share my screen again. So 15th verse. Okay, I'll recite and you can repeat after me. We'll do it 3 times. Yam hi na vetayanti te
Yam
Yam
hina
hina
vyatayante
vyatayante
te
purusham purusharshava
purusham
purusham
purusharshabha
purushashabha
tamadukka sukam dhiram
samadukka
samadukka
sukam
sukam dhiram
dhiram
somrutatvaya kalpate.
somrutatvaya
tavaya
kalpate.
2 more times will do. Yam hi na vyatayante te
Yam
Yam
hina
hina vyatayante
vyatayante
te
te
purusham purusharshava
purusham
purusham purusharshabha
purushashabha
tamadukka sukam dhiram
samadukka
samadukka
sukam
sukam
dhiram
dhiram
so amritatvaya kalpate.
so amrutatvaya
somritatvaya
kalpate.
kalpate
Okay, last time. Yam hina vyatayante te
Yam
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 hina
hina
vyatayante
vyatayante
te
te
purusham purusharshava
Purusha
purusham purusharshabha
purushashabha
tamadukka sukam dhiram
Samat
samadukka
samadukka
sukam
sukam
dhiram
dhiram
so amritatvaya kalpate.
so
Somrit
so
amrutatvaya
amritatvaya
kalpate.
kalpate.
Big is this purport? Small only, good. Okay. One of you can read the synonyms and translation.
Yam, one to whom he certainly, na never, vyatayanti are distressing, ete all these, purusham to a person, purusharshabha, O best among men, sama unaltered, dukkha and distress, sukham and happiness, dhiram patient, saha he, amritatvaya for liberation, kalpate is considered eligible. Translation: O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation.
Thank you, Gandharv. Yeah. Anyone could like the purport?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Anyone who is steady in his determination for the advanced stage of spiritual realization and can equally tolerate the onslaughts of distress and happiness is certainly a person eligible for liberation. In the Varnashrama institution, the fourth stage of life, namely the renounced order, sannyasa, is a painstaking situation, but one who is serious about making his life perfect surely adopts the sannyasa order of life in spite of all difficulties. The difficulties usually arise from having to sever family relationships to give up the connection of wife and children. But if anyone is able to tolerate such difficulties, surely his path to spiritual realization is complete. Similarly, in Arjuna's discharge of duties as a Kshatriya, he is advised to persevere, even if it is difficult to fight with his family members or similarly beloved persons. Lord Chaitanya took sannyasa at the age of 24, and his dependents, young wife as well as old mother, had no one else to look after them. Yet, for a higher cause, he took sannyasa and was steady in the discharge of higher duties. That is the way of achieving liberation from material bondage.
Yeah, very nice. So I like the verse. So you notice Krishna is addressing Arjuna as Purusharshava, oh best among men. So in the last verse, he addressed him as Bharata and Kaunteya, right? So now he's addressing, oh best among men. So if you are the best among the men, you need to do the best, not the worst. So like that, Krishna is giving encouragement to him also to do the best. And then he's saying the person, this is extension to the previous verse. The person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress, that means he's tolerating. If you get happiness, I'm so jubilant that I don't do my duties, not like that. I will not cook today because I'm so happy, not like that. Or if I'm sad also, I don't do my duties, not like that. Now, without getting disturbed by happiness and distress, that means dualities in life. So somebody is steady in what? In their determination for the spiritual realization. Such a person is certainly eligible for liberation. So Prabhupada is opening the purport with a nice sentence. If you are steady in determination for the advanced stage of spiritual relation, so if I'm being determined to my for spiritual progress, any distresses that come or happiness that comes, I'll tolerate it, then I can be eligible for liberation, like that is describing. So this is an extension of previous verse we talked about, how we need to tolerate certain things to progress spiritually, certain difficulties in life. For example, Prabhupada is giving the example of sannyasa first, and then he goes on to Arjuna and Lord Chaitanya. So let us talk about sannyasa example. In the Varnashram institution, we're in brahmachari life first. That means we're studying scriptures ideally and developing character and everything. And then developing discipline, developing regulation of senses, developing control of mind, all that we develop in brahmachari life. And then we get into married life. So based on the training we got in brahmachari life, we do brahmachari grostha life nicely, married life nicely. Meaning, even though we're in married life, we're still controlling our senses nicely. So we use them only when appropriate, when needed, like that. And then we don't think that, oh my God, I have got a lot of money now. I am the king of the world. Nobody is better than me. We don't think like that. Instead, we still utilize in service of Krishna, like that. And then finally, after the family responsibilities are over, meaning we plan our life in such a way that family responsibilities are over at a certain age, like 55 years, for example, or 50 years, for example, or 60 years, for example, like that. Plan such a way that family responsibility is over. Then we move on to the next life, either vanaprastha or sannyas life. Usually it's vanaprastha. Prabhupada is talking about sannyas here, but the principle applies for vanaprastha also. But vanaprastha example is little bit better because during the vanaprastha life, wife and husband can still be together. So that's why Prabhupada is talking about sannyas life means completely severed with family, like that. That's why Prabhupada is giving example of sannyas. So somebody should not say, oh my God, I love my children. My grandson is going to be born now. I want to wait for seeing them. I want to, next somebody will say, I want to see my grandson walking, my grandson going to school. I want to see my grandson graduating from 10th grade. I want to see my grandson going to college. I want to see my grandson getting married. I want to see my grandson getting children. It will keep on going like that. So instead of getting distracted like that, we should be focused on spiritual life determination and then move on to the next stage of life. Like that, Prabhupada is giving example of sannyasa. Same thing is giving example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was only 24 years of age. Of course, he is Supreme Lord, no comparison to us. So at his level, he wanted to do benefit to society. And at that time, some people were taking him cheaply because he's a young person. What is he going to tell me, like that? But at that time, people had great respect for sannyasis. So that's why he wanted to take sannyasi. So that way, they don't make offenses. Just because the sannyasi, they'll pay obeisances. That way, they'll get elevated actually. That was the service mood that Lord Chaitanya had. But to become sannyasi, you should not have wife. So even though he had a young wife, beautiful wife, nice cooperating wife, still he took sannyas for the higher cause, like that. So that doesn't mean Prabhupada is saying, Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not saying that we all need to take sannyas at 24 years. That's not the message that is being given. For the higher purpose, sometimes we need to loosen our attachments to take care of the higher purpose. That means, for example, the higher purpose, for example, for our level, I need to do my chanting every day. So to do that, I don't get attached to, oh, I need to take care of my children when they're awake. I need to stay with them only all the time, even though they're 10 years old, 15 years old. I don't get attached to that idea. I can give them the time to do something, give them some assignment to do, and then you take care of your spiritual thing, for example. So like that, we need to take care of our life in such a way that higher spiritual purpose is not impeded or disturbed or blocked in any way like that. So that's what the examples are being given here. So that's way. So we need to be how this can be practiced is when we cultivate our life as mode of goodness. Mode of goodness, one of the symptoms of mode of goodness, one of the characteristics of mode of goodness is regulation in life. That means I sleep at 10 o'clock, for example, I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then I do my chanting 5:30 to 7, for example, and then I hear it for some time, and then I worship my deities for some time, and then I eat my breakfast at 8:30 every day, and then I eat my lunch at 1 o'clock every day, and then I do my office work between 9 to 1, and then 1:30 to 5, 5:30, whatever that happens to be. And then evening I take shower again, and then I do my devotion service again, like sandwich program Prabhupada calls it, morning and evening devotion service. Like that, we need to maintain some regulation. Not like, oh, I feel like eating at 11 o'clock today instead of 1 o'clock. Let me do that. I feel like doing DT worship for 2 hours today instead of doing it for 15 minutes. So even though spiritual thing is good thing, but still we regulate. Same thing for office also. We do the fixed amount of time. Obviously, remember I told you there can be exceptions for a deliverable time or project certain project time, but that should not be so overboard that we can leave regulation altogether. We cannot leave regulation. So some regulation should be there. My spiritual master used to say that you should have schedule A, schedule B. Schedule A is when everything is going nicely, you do some schedule. Now, schedule B is when something is pressing coming in my life, like I have project deliverable to deliver, or I need to take care of wife in the hospital, like that. So that is an important emergency situation. That time you still maintain some regulation again. That time, not like I can do whatever I want because my wife is in the hospital. I can do what I want. Like some regulation. Maybe I cannot do 1 hour reading, but I can do only one verse reading that day because my wife is in the hospital. Maybe I cannot do uh, regular classes I take. Maybe I can cut down on that day, particular day because my wife is in the hospital. But some regulation should be there. Not like everything goes out of the window like that. So that is another way by maintaining mode of goodness in our life, by maintaining regulation in our life, we can uh, tolerate the dualities, and it helps us to tolerate the dualities and progress steadily in our spiritual life. So I'm going to pause there for see any other comments, questions. Already only 3-4 minutes is left. Any comments or questions are there? And this verse, I will share the verse one more time in case. Okay. So hopefully the message overall is we need to tolerate the dualities in the discharge of higher duties, whether it's material duties or to receive a material goals, or even better for our spiritual sadhana, to achieve the spiritual goal also. We need to tolerate the dualities and maintain regulation, steadiness in our life so that we can progress in our material goals and also spiritual goals also. Okay. Any last comments or questions?
Krishna Prabhuji, like by all of your mercy and on the mercy of other Vaishnavas, like what I try to follow is like 888, like 8 hours for, like, for example, 10 to 6 in the lab, and then come back, then 8 to, you know, like for example, sorry, 6 to 8 for 2 hours for some like little bit of getting refreshed, having prasadam and all things, and then 8 to like 2 2 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m., like sleeping, 6 hours of sleeping, like 8 for my health, and then wake up like around 3 or 3:30, and then again till 10 or 9:30, like another 8 hours for my readings and like all spiritual service, like spiritual thing, like chanting and all those things. This is plan A, but I don't have any plan B, Prabhuji. That's why, like you mentioned, when there is some situation comes, need to make a plan B, or reduce some sadhana, we regulate some
Yes.
health, we regulated way. But
Mm.
I need to create one, schedule B. When,
You got it. Wonderful. That is a wonderful point you got, Parampara. Yes. So we need to create the plan B. So that way, everything doesn't go out of the window otherwise.
Mhm.
So we can maintain our health also, we'll maintain our sadhana also. Maybe we cannot do too much like we want to do regularly.
Mhm.
Something. Obviously, let's say I'm not healthy. Let's say my wife is not healthy, my husband is not healthy, or somebody we need to take care of.
Mhm.
That time we cannot maintain the same plan A,
Mhm.
but we can maintain plan B, especially if it's going beyond more than one day.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like big chunk of the deadline comings, and suddenly your PI says you need to analyze the everything of twice or in a different approach, as
Mm.
100 images, and you, oh my God.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Sure.
Prabhuji, what are the basic spiritual practices that I like, even after initiation, like the basic spiritual practices that I should do without fail? What are those? If you like, for example, chanting 16 rounds or the committed rounds, and reading Srila Prabhupada's book at least for 5 minutes,
Mm.
and hearing one lecture of Guru Maharaj,
Yeah, absolutely.
or
Basic, yeah, basic spiritual practices. Basically, whatever we can do, that much we can progress, right? With that understanding, we're talking about the plan B now. Something in our life that is changing our situation, that is demanding more time right now. My son is not well, my wife is not well, or my officer need to do something extra like that. Not the 8 hours work, I need to do a little bit more. Then the minimum spiritual activities we need to do is 16 rounds of chanting, like you described. We need to make time for that in the calendar somewhere or the other, ideally in the early morning, ideally in the morning. And then hearing at least little bit, even if it's not a whole lecture, hearing at least 15 minutes like that. And then reading at least one verse and purport, for example, or reading for 5 minutes like you described. And then doing it, if I don't have time for DD worship, at least I go sing some sort of the prayers and assume the prayers in 5-10 minutes, not too long. And then I offer from flower or fruit or water, whatever I can give at this time. That can take, for example, it takes only 10 minutes for me to offer prayers, and then two Tulsi prayers also I do. So maximum 10-15 minutes like that. So you can cut down depending upon the time you have. You can keep that minimal worshipping the deity every day, minimal whatever you can do. That's a minimal standard, chanting, hearing, and reading. And then, of course, our health, whatever is needed for health also we need to take care. For example, some devotees need to walk every day, some devotees need to eat on time, some devotees need to take medicines on time, like that. Those also we need to go through. But spiritually, these are the minimum chanting our minimum rounds, four regulated principles, hearing some amount of time based on how much we can afford, and then reading some amount of time based on how much we can afford. But this should not go on, plan B should not go on for weeks and months together. Plan B should be going on for days only. Yeah, that's how it works. If it's going for beyond days, then we need to reevaluate what is going wrong. That means I didn't plan for this deliverable long ago. So that's for example, if I don't take care of my health, then I will go plan B for 2 months because I'll be sitting in the bed if I
Yeah.
don't do exercise. So that means I need to evaluate why am I in plan B for 1 month? That means I need to change something in plan A. Plan A didn't put enough time for exercise. Then that is why I'm going into plan B for so long now. Like that, we need to evaluate and change the plan A accordingly.
Okay, Prabhuji. Sure. Thank you so much.
Comments, questions? Okay. So thank you so much, devotees, for joining. Sri Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
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 Adhyasya Kupasantu Bevacha Pajdanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you so much, devotees.
Thanks, Prabhuji. Bye.
Thank you, Prabhuji.